Hello again, good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Business Live. My name is Emmanuel Abouna. Coming up in this evening's edition, new GDP estimates for first quarter of the year records marginal growth for Ghana's economy despite poor performance of industry and other sectors. We'll take a look at the road transport sector in the country, which is yet to realize the desired impact in the economy as the rapid bus transit system takes off soon. And the Joy business van makes its way to a fish processing center at Nsawam in the eastern region, where an agric entrepreneur is making a big business in fish processing. So these and several others coming your way on the show. Don't go away. You can also get interactive with us by tweeting at Joy Business GH, and on Facebook we are on Joy Business, and then you can also come or catch up with more business updates on myjoyonline.com/business. We'll be right back with the details after this.
Business Life Today is brought to you by Ghana Commercial Bank.
Now, latest GDP estimates released by the Ghana Statistical Service have revealed the Ghanaian economy grew marginally for the first quarter of this year. Despite the growth, however, government statistician Dr. Philomena Nyako admitted that some subsectors of the economy, including industry, performed badly. She explained what accounted for the marginal growth in an interview with Joy Business macroeconomy news editor George Riafe.
We know that some subsectors are not doing very well. For example, if you take fishing, there was a decline in inland and the inland and aquaculture catch, and we also had problems with production within the local production of cement also declined, but this was compensated by the importation of foreign cement from abroad. So there could be shifts, all right, but we should also be aware that there are also there are some challenges within in production within the various sectors, especially looking at industry. Industry, you know, grew by a negative 1.1%, which is a big problem. In monetary terms, the value of the economy is 37,515.8 million Ghana cedis. That's the value of the economy. That's the current. This is for the first quarter of the year.
Date?
We are not calculating the annual estimate until we get all the 4 quarters for the year.
Right now, government hopes to raise up to 1 billion cedis from investors by issuing a 5-year bond. The auction, which was held today, was handled by 3 financial institutions instead of the Bank of Ghana. But could this help reduce government's cost of borrowing? George Riafe again has more.
Today's bond sale will not be done the usual way the government goes about raising funds. First, 3 institutions, Barclays, Stanbic Bank and Finance House Strategic African Securities, are acting as transaction advisors or leading the process instead of the Bank of Ghana. Again, the whole auction will last for 2 days, so we are expecting the bond sale to close tomorrow after I receive all the requests from investors today. Also, government has found an interesting way to deal with the rising cost of these bond issuance. So it's looking at an interest rate ranging between 23 to 24.47%. So, depending on the rate it gets from investors, that would influence the amount government would take from them. Now, this could mean that government may not take all the 1 billion Ghana cedis it is targeting even if it's able to raise all the amount. It is hoping to use funds raised to pay off debts that are maturing and finance some infrastructure projects in the country. However, there have been concerns about these bonds that government issues because of its impact on the rising public debt, which stood at almost 100 billion Ghana cedis as at December last year. But the Finance Ministry has maintained that it is rather using majority of the funds raised to pay down the public debt, which the ministry believes will go a long way to reduce it. But some have also argued that the interest paid on these debts are rising, so it could impact the public debt negatively.
That was George Wiafe's report. Now, Ghana has made a place among top economies in Africa with the highest investments by foreigners. That is according to a report by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, Untied. There's more in the following report.
The report tracks foreign direct investments of the over 100 members of the United Nations and makes some key recommendations on how they can improve investments and what can be done to ensure that their economies benefit from the capital inflow. According to the Untied investment report, Angola topped with an FDI of $8.7 billion for 2015, representing an over 300% jump compared to 2014. It was followed by Egypt with $6.9 billion in FDI, whilst Mozambique had $3.7 billion. Ghana was tied with Morocco, recording an FDI of $3.2 billion in 2015. For many, Ghana's performance is interesting, especially at a time that the FDI witnessed a significant decline in 2015 compared to what it recorded in 2014. But Untied in the report attributes the decline in foreign direct investments across the region to the recent sharp decline in commodity prices. Untied was, however, optimistic that things will pick up for Ghana and other countries in Africa this year.
All right, now as the UK prepares to vote in a referendum tomorrow to decide whether to leave the EU or not, there is growing uncertainty whether the second largest economy in the European Union will change its economic and trade policies towards Ghana and other West African nations in the event it decides to withdraw. Now, Ghana has had a significant trade relation with its colonial master spanning various sectors. BBC's Razel Patmore earlier on the Marketplace explored the expected impact of the Brexit on Ghana's economy.
This is a very difficult question to answer because if you look at the polls, it appears that both sides, stay or leave, are neck and neck. We've heard throughout the campaign a lot of argument, actually, both sides claiming that the other side has got it wrong. We will know after the vote on Thursday. If you go from what the bookmakers are saying, though, it appears as though the situation is that the Remain or the Stay-In campaign are going to win. But then again, the pollsters have been wrong in the past, and as have the bookmakers. We genuinely don't know which way the British voters are going to go. Well, from the British perspective, if the British decide to leave the European Union, it opens up a whole new area of where Britain would have to renegotiate lots of trade deals. Now, during the campaign for this referendum, trying to convince people to vote one way or the other, we've heard people saying, well, look, ultimately, the European Union is a large trading bloc. It's got great trading relationships with various countries in Africa. Britain would be outside that. Would it have to go back to the drawing board? Then those who support leaving the European Union claim, well, there's nothing wrong with having to renegotiate trade deals. Indeed, countries in Africa could get better access to the British market and vice versa. Because at the moment, the way the things are run, Brussels is in charge. The European Union makes the free trade decision with a various area of the world, such as a country like Ghana or other countries in West Africa, and then that trade agreement applies across the whole EU. There might be a situation it may not suit various industries within the UK. So if the UK was outside the EU, different deals could be renegotiated. Then there is the claim that, there could be lots of problems. Bureaucratic things come in, problems renegotiating some of these trade deals, but ultimately, that's if you conveniently forget that Britain is one of the largest economies in the world, and ultimately, I always think of the situation at the moment with German manufacturers, the maker of Mercedes cars, Daimler-Benz. Do you really seriously think if Britain left the European Union that that Mercedes would not sell its cars to UK customers. The UK is part of the global trading environment, just like Ghana is.
Great.
The advantages for Ghana and disadvantages. It all is up for grabs. We'll know after Thursday. Well, this is an interesting point. Do remember the British government still makes its own decisions.
All right, so that was the BBC's Russell Patmore analysing the impact of the Brexit on Ghana's economy. Moving on, the road transport sector takes over 90% of passenger volumes in Ghana and accounts for significant business operations. Unfortunately, road transport in the urban regions is characterized by cumbersome traffic jams that have become a huge disincentive to productivity. The rapid bus transit system is expected to take off soon to minimize the congestion on our roads, among others. Sheila Tamaklo has been looking at road usage in Accra.
The bus rapid transit system and transport system, which is set to improve vehicular movement and reduce delays on some busy streets, will bring relief to motorists. The system generally has specialized design, services and infrastructure. One important infrastructure is the road system. Typical examples of roads which can support this system are the Akoaje interchange and the Graphic Road overhead in Accra. We first make a stop at the Akoaje interchange.
Perhaps before this road was constructed, later part of the 90s, it was just one runabout, and anybody coming here called the Sankara Circle would have to brake. So the traffic was unbearable. But when this road was constructed, you see that those who are driving on the ring road are down. They don't need to stop. And also those on the Independence Avenue would also have no need to stop. And then the interchange for those on the ring road who want to join the Independence Avenue at the same time just have to take the other side of the interchange and move on. So this is really an essential feature. According to a research that we conducted, if we were to get 10 of these roads, interchanges in Accra, what it means is that traffic in Accra will be reduced by 1/3, and also the amount of money that we spend on buying fuel will also go down. You know that whenever you are in traffic, you burn a lot of fuel. And once we get this efficient road, what it means is that cars will be able to move on without having to waste fuel. That means that there will be more money in your pocket to spend on household needs. And also it means that people can also get to home and work easily without having to wake up at dawn and drive in traffic and get to work tired. And so I think going forward, government should look at this.
Next, we head to the new overhead located at the Graphic Road, which was constructed to allow traffic flow over the rail line.
And so if you were to have a bus BRT route with buses having to stop to allow trains to come, that will actually slow down the pace of bus traffic. So the World Bank in 2009 provided support to Ghana government to construct this infrastructure so as to enhance the movement of the bus rapid transit on this route. You have the BRT on top, and then other cars down. You know, the BRT will not be obstructed by a passing train, but then the other non-BRT buses can be obstructed by a moving train.
The country was expected to begin operating the bus rapid transit system in Accra in November last year. However, Joy Business learns that some of the projects have stalled.
This project is running behind schedule, though the road has been constructed, yet by the infrastructure of the buses is still delayed simply because of how most of these GPRTU and some drivers associations are resisting the operation. But we are told by the AMA mayor that before the end of the year, the BRT will kick in and the transport system in Accra on this section of the route of the area will be improved.
That was Sheila Tamaklo's report. Now, MTN says it is poised to not only be the leader in the 4G internet service space, but also offer the best of services to subscribers. MTN on Tuesday finally rolled out its high-speed 4G service across all the regional capitals after months of test runs. Sheila Tamaklo again reports.
4G internet offers between 5 and 10 times the performance of 3G, with faster download speeds and better overall data performance. MTN acquired the 4G license last year at the cost of $67.5 million and invested an additional $18 million to fully deploy the service. Speaking at the launch, MTN's General Manager for Consumer Marketing, Noel Ganson, said the service is expected to facilitate the operations of businesses that depend heavily on the internet.
Well, I think if you're a businessman and you want to grow your business, improve your business, and do very well as well, I don't see why you shouldn't latch on it, because what it's going to do is going to save you time, it's going to save you cost, etc. Why do I say it's going to save you cost? In days that you need, because of speed, you need to put up staff services to do a particular job over and over, you're going to cut down that cost entirely. What it's going to do for you is that it's going to make your business interaction with other people that you have elsewhere a lot more faster.
MTN is the only mobile operator licensed to operate 4G service to join the league of internet service providers, including Surfline, Busy, Blue, and Gold Key. As the leading telecoms operator in the country, MTN is expected to further deepen competition in the 4G internet space, which has other players offering the service in limited areas. Mr. Ganson described as strategic their decision to join the 4G internet market.
I think you are much aware of how this market has been overpopulated. We're talking about penetration level well within the regions of 116% plus and counting. We have 5 telcos in the market today. We have 5 telcos competing with us. When you go into the 4G space as well, you have other players already in the market. The clear differentiation here for me is that I've got 4G on the go, whilst the others don't have it. Okay, so I'm not envisaging the competition to be lesser by the day. I'm envisaging it to be tougher by the day. And as you can see, we did our homework quite well before we're out there today. And we're all ready for the competition.
Customers at the launch were given the opportunity to test the service and also watch a live feed of the rollout across all 10 regional capitals.
Let's now do some stories from the financial sector. As some banks cut down on lending to deal with the effects of the rising non-performing loans in the country, Chief Executive Officer of the Universal Merchant Bank, John Iwua, is optimistic it will have no effect on neither the cost nor size of their products to customers. According to him, increasing costs at this time will rather make it more difficult for customers to repay. He said this when executives of Multimedia Limited paid a courtesy call on the bank in Accra.
At UMB, our response has not been to cut lending wholesale. We are looking at our exposures critically, and we invite clients to come to us and talk to us about business. We see every facility or exposure that we put on our books on its own merit, and we, much as we take cue from the environmentals, we also try to understand the strength of the transactions that come to us for review. So we have not taken any drastic measure to freeze loan lending or to set a ceiling on a certain kind of lending. But what we have said to ourselves is to look at the risk from all the perspectives that will improve the quality of the asset. It's in the interest of the client, it's in the interest of the bank that we work together to ensure that the assets we put on our books are working assets. I'm not a fan of increasing interest rates on a client who is unable to pay. If a customer is not able to pay, as a banker, you have a responsibility of working with the client to see what else you can do to facilitate and make the payment less problematic for the client. Sometimes it may even result in you putting a lot more money to help the client's business resuscitate, so you can, over the period, recoup the funds that you pump into that relationship. The point is that when we lend money, we want to collect money. Interest is not in realizing collaterals. We don't do collateral lending. We want the general public, Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians alike, to feel free walk into any distribution point of Universal Merchant Bank and access our services, because it's a different kind of banking. It's not the routine vanilla banking practices that we have in the country. We have set ourselves on a journey to change the landscape of banking.
Now, the Managing Director of ADB Bank, Daniel Esiedu, says agriculture would remain a priority for the bank as it works towards becoming the best bank in the country in the next 3 years. He tells Joy Business they are open to providing financial support for profitable agric ventures.
ADB is one of the few, if not the only bank, that has special focus on agric because of who we are, and that is not going to change. What we have done in the past is support agric aggressively, and we'll continue to do that going forward. I think one of the things that has to be, we need to let the public know is that although we are ADB, our focus has not changed. We will still continue to support agric. And so if there are agric businesses that need help, of course, they can always look up to ADB for help.
The impact of agribusiness has not been largely realized and has continued to contribute insignificantly to GDP. Despite the overall contribution of agriculture to the economy, the sector is still dominated by subsistence producers, with only a few in agribusiness. CEO of an agribusiness company, MJAB, Samuel Abouna, is one of the few agribusiness entrepreneurs, and it's interesting what he does. The Joy Business van made its way to its processing center at Nsawam in the Eastern region to learn how he has turned smoked fish into a big business.
Nsawam serves as a major business center for most farming communities in the Eastern region. It was once home to a multi-million-dollar cannery. The Joy Business van is at Nsawam today. Smoking tons of fish for sale, that is what Samuel Abouna does for a living. He is CEO of MJAB. The idea came to him at the time he was jobless.
My wife went to the market one day to buy this type of fish. And when they get home, in fact, before she could use it, 2 of the fishes were not wholesome. And I went with her to the market that day. And the place they were selling this fish was not quite hygienic, and it was exposed. It was displayed on the tabletop. You can see the way we're using their hand to get off the flies and all that. So when we came back, and my wife told me, "Oh, husband, look at it too. Even the fish we bought, this type of fish also costs more than the sea fish. And for us to throw away 2 of them to the dustbin, so I said to myself that." Can't we sell this fish in a different way, in a more hygienic way than the way it's been done all over the years? And when I was a little boy, I used to go to fishing with my uncle, so I know how this fish tastes. So I told my wife that, look, now that we have lost our license, we are no more in the port working, I'm thinking of what to do. I think I'll take up this challenge.
The fish are harvested from the Volta Lake and then transported to a processing site which he constructed at his home.
At this stage, the fish just came in from our landing site, and it needs to be heated for us to be able to sort out the bad ones. We know that during the processing, not all of them can be well processed. So we do heat them here at a certain level for us to be able to sort out the bad ones. So that is what we are doing now.
And so if you look a little closer, you see the hot coal burning inside there. Okay, so we are done smoking the fish. What do we do next?
So now it's left with the packaging. So let's go.
All right. Samuel's business is basically run by a family and a couple more people he has employed. The smoked fish are packaged and distributed to his customers, who are growing by the day.
I receive orders from Kumasi, from Tema, and as well as Accra. Yes. So these are the areas. And currently there are people who are also trying to get a place at Kaswa where they can also, order from us to be able to distribute it there.
Samuel's love for agriculture developed from childhood.
My father was an educationist and as well as a farmer. So when we were growing up, in fact, he trained us how to farm. And so when I have this land, I've not used it yet. I started to do some small gardening here to get my foodstuffs. So farming has been part of me since since childhood.
Aside the fish, he packages honey as well. He aims to process other agri-products too. And that's our show this week from MJAB in Sawam. Join us next week, find out where the van is headed to. Remember, it's brought to you by Joy Business, proudly supported by Busy, making good things happen.
For you on this edition of Business Live. Thank you very much for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Good evening.